Hi there. Good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to the Clarity Man podcast. Today we have someone really, really amazing, right? An author of the book called Power Persuasion, an international speaker, peak performance specialist who has impacted thousands of people across the globe, working with about and talking to more than 80 nationals around the globe. He's also been featured on various platforms like Fox, Khalij Times, Arabian Business, CBS, NBC, and much, much more. And most importantly, he is an amazing human being and a dear friend and a very humble guy. And I'm really, really honored to invite Muneer Al Busaidi all the way from Abu Dhabi. Hi, Muneer. How are you doing?
Hi Irfan, how's it going? It's such a pleasure to be on this podcast. Thank you for that amazing introduction. If I wasn't so brown, I'd be red now. I'm blushing.
You made me blush though. Anyways, so I'm really, really thankful for you to take out some time and have this conversation with us, because I think it's really important for this conversation, because one of the aspects of this conversation I wanted to highlight how during transition we are able to deal with things. And I know for a fact, Munir, that you have gone through so many different things in life. You've come out of it. You kind of going this way, a straight line. You moved up your career graph, your work, your relationship, everything is changed now, and you're doing some phenomenal work to impact so many lives out there. And I think it's apt for me to have this conversation. I've been thinking about it. So help us understand, Munir, why this work of impacting, going out globally, and where it all began. And
Yeah.
what yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, I think it's a timely topic. Like with regards to 2020 has been a time for change for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, I thought even as someone that teaches how to deal with a lot of change, this year I've had to go through a lot of change. So,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people have as well. And so I don't just teach this stuff. I've had to use it a lot in my life. Now, before I tell my story, first of all, I do want to say it's such an honor and a pleasure to be here on your show. I've seen you contribute to so many people's lives. I love what you do, and it's just an honor to be here. So thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome, brother.
Now, okay, so I guess a tiny bit about myself. Like when I was, see, I've I've made a lifestyle out of change. I think the person I am today is very, very, very different to who I was when I was growing up. Like when I was growing up, I was this shy, awkward, uh, and bullied kid. Like Irfan has seen my pictures. When I speak, I show my pictures. But
Yeah, I remember we were doing this event and we were sharing the stage, and you popped on the photograph. This is the first time that I've seen your photograph, and like a nerdy kid, I would say.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And you see, I mean, one of the reasons I've fallen in love with personal development is because I know that the person that you can be today can be so completely different to who you were
Yeah.
just like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about completely different, like literally the opposite to a certain degree. When I talk about when I talk about going and speaking live right now, people will look at me and I will, I believe right now about myself that I am confident, that I can entertain people, that I can make people laugh. Whereas just a few years ago, I believed that I was shy, I was awkward, I couldn't talk to people, and I could not make anybody laugh. And I'm the same person. So I understand the power that the mind plays in shaping our beliefs, our identity beliefs,
Yeah.
and who we are in terms of how we move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
And
I've yeah. So go ahead.
yeah,
You
no,
wanna-
I think it's such an important point that you highlighted. And
Mm,
my personal experience has been the same.
mm,
Pretty much, if I remember,
mm,
when I was a kid, same like you, because even my environment was as such that I was not really social out there, or very reserved
Mm,
kid. My father is not around, so I don't have a good role model to
mm,
look up to. Always a little scared in social gatherings or settings. My mom
mm,
is always busy doing something for
mm,
someone, because she's like a huge contributor, right? So I'm all
mm,
by myself, lost, not knowing, even in social gatherings and
mm,
party, like weddings and stuff, or
mm,
anywhere. And I'm the same guy. I,
mm.
I used to be the guy, as I keep saying, when I do my work, I'm the guy who used to speak last in
Yeah,
an auditorium, in a room, or used to sit in the last row.
yeah,
Now I lead stuff. And so, rightly so, I think, Muneer, it's a very important point, what you just share and what I'm sharing here, with
mm,
everyone.
mm.
I think a lot of people don't understand that they can change and they can be better than that's. I think that awareness in itself in a lot of people's life is not there. And there are a lot
Yes.
of people who are aware and they want to change, but they don't know how. So we're going to, highlight both these aspects. Yeah. Thank you for that share.
And it's a huge one. It's a huge one.
Yeah.
Just understanding that who you are today doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow. In fact, if you're going through a hard time, I'd just say, you know what, maybe that's going to make your story even more amazing. And I say that because if you've ever watched a Hollywood movie or a Bollywood movie, I should I should have started with Bollywood movie
Yeah.
for your audience. But if you've ever watched a movie, listen, it maybe if you're going through a hard time, it's just the middle part of the movie. This is where the excitement
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
hard time, this is where the lessons are going to be learned, and it's fine.
Yeah.
One of the things I think Irfan and I, we connected over is like at one point in my life, I was I shared a room with 7 people at one point in my life. When I was just after university and I was trying to work, and I went from sharing a room, not a house, a room with multiple people, to at one point in my life owning multiple properties, just a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And so, like, where you are does not have to define where you're going to be.
Got it.
And that's something that
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Munir, actually, what triggered that, you don't want to live a certain way, or you want to change a certain aspect of your life, and you want to grow in the area of, helping people and creating wealth. What was the beginning point, or what was the starting point for that? Like, I think you
Mm.
were working in a job, as far as I remember, right? And
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you're still, but I think you came out of it, as far as I know, and then you're
yeah.
you're doing all this work right now.
Mm.
So what was that deciding point or transition point for you?
Okay, so what had happened is I'd over the years I'd been developing myself, and here's what happens when you start to develop, when you start to change. People start to ask you, hey, what happened? Let's imagine that you were 300 kilograms and then you became 100 kilograms. Right? What is if someone sees you when you were 300 and then they see you when you were 100? What is the first thing they're going to ask you?
Hmm.
Is like, hey, what happened? What are you doing? Like, tell me more. They want
Yeah.
to know how you've transformed. So I had started to transform my confidence, my speaking, my contribution to different people, and people would ask me for advice. But how I got into it properly is, I was sitting one day at I was working here in Abu Dhabi at Etihad Airways, and this is about 3 years ago. No, sorry, four. Now it's about 4 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago. And my boss came to me and he's like, Munir, come in. Let's have a sit. I wanna chat with you. And he said, look, Munir, I don't know how to say this, but you know, it, the economy isn't doing well, and we've been told that at some point we're going to need to cut down people. Now, you're not in danger yet, but I wanted to have a talk with you because, I mean, you've just got a mortgage,
Wow.
you've got a family, you've got this. If something was going to happen to you, you're going to be you're going to
Yeah.
be in trouble,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, and so he's like, listen, you need a plan B, you need to figure out. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what is my plan B? What is my plan B?
Right.
And at the time, first the initial thought is you kind of think, oh, you know what? Let me get another job. But what's the problem with another job? I'd be in the same exact situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, but I enjoy helping people. Like something I love. I love
Mm.
developing myself and I love helping people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I was thinking, well, people get paid for that sort of thing.
Yeah. 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 The realization.
Yeah, so that's how I started pursuing it, and I
Okay.
started learning and developing myself, and
Mm.
and basically got to a point where I started coaching people, speaking
Yeah.
all over the world,
Yeah.
and then lo and behold, the economy goes worse and I get made redundant.
Wow.
And luckily, thankfully, I was prepared.
Yeah, because you had built something over a period of time along with
Yeah.
what was going on, right? I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is one of the key ideas that I think I really want to highlight. I mean, although in my case, it wasn't what we are discussing right now, because I had to do a complete transition. And I'll
Mm,
tell you a little bit about how I transit as well,
mm,
did the transition as well. Because you see, what I think that this is the best way. What you are telling me is the best way to do the transition, because whatever I have, and now in today's scenario, people out there, some of them, they may not have anything, and it's
yeah.
it's also good. I'll tell you both the perspective, because I think you gave me your perspective and I think I have my perspective. I think both balances out in both the scenarios. Like you said, uh, for you it was more of you building simultaneously with when you alarmed about what is coming for your
Mm,
from your workspace, right? And you started building, and you started, obviously you loved working, and that's a great way to do that, simultaneously. If whatever you are doing, right, if you, even if you are in a business, you can build another business on the side. If you are
mm,
working, we can build something on the side and invest time, and over the period of time, you will see, with nurturing, with putting in proper efforts and time, you are able to do that. And I think I would like to speak to you next after I share my part, Muneer, that
mm.
during this journey, I'm sure there have been situations where you thought, what the hell is it, it's not working, or what, there's another stop light that I
Mm.
face now, what do I do? So
Yeah.
you must have managed your mind in a certain way. You must have, because you are an expert
Yeah.
in your unconscious communication, the mindset, the psychology, and everything. So I'm
Mm.
sure, over the period of time, you have battled those things, and you've
Yeah.
still moved forward, and that's what led you here, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
we know, like, this traditional saying that a lot of entrepreneurs fail in the first year, or there are a lot of different statistics. So I don't want to go into statistics,
Yes. Yes.
but
Yes.
that's true, right, to a certain
Mm.
extent. And Munir, to tell you my part, how my transition happened.
Yeah.
I was working on ships.
Yeah.
I was one of the top class officer working on the ships, and I one day, this is very interesting. I don't think I've shared with anyone, and this will be the first time. I was actually going to see the general manager, who's like the top boss in the department that I
Mm.
work for. I was like the right hand man for him, and I'm going to see this guy. Is an Italian. Okay, maybe he's listening to this podcast. I have no idea, but he was talking to someone on the phone, because they were talking to him about me getting transshipped, or going from that contract, during that contract itself, to go somewhere else and work, because they,
Yeah.
they needed someone there. And this
Mm.
guy, this Italian manager, he's actually literally shouting and fighting for me, that I'm not going
Mm.
to send him away, right?
Mm.
I'm not going to send him away. At that, Munir, I think it's something to relate it to, the way I was brought
Mm.
up as well. And I
Yeah.
never used to value myself enough. And I
Mm.
used to see, oh, you know what, I'm doing my part. I'm okay. Sometimes people used to say, oh, you're doing well. But this guy was fighting for me not to be transshipped. And
Yeah.
that was kind of a moment that, what, I do have much more than what I'm doing right now. And people value the work that I do. People, when I say something, or, give my first perspective, although at times, people just say, okay, you know what, I've done it, but they come to me for guidance and ideas. So
Yeah.
that was like a moment where I said, what, I have been procrastinating to bring about the change,
Yeah.
because what if this, what if that? I have a family, I have my mom supporting, I have my kid. If I give away this job, what will I do, and all those things. And that moment, I actually kind of was a push for me to
Yeah.
explore the idea of doing something on my own. and, you know, going
Mm.
back home, because you see, I could not build something for, this is my perspective, someone would disagree maybe, but I could not build something while staying on board. So I had to come back because I wanted to do something in India, and that's where I left intentionally, saying, you know what, whatever happens, I have to go through the road, I have to go through the anxiety, I have to go through the, if any of these challenges come in, I have to go through it myself. And
Mm.
that's where I started the complete transition for myself. So, you know, even this worked for me, because you see, I intentionally put myself into a situation of being uncomfortable, which happened to you as well. You were uncomfortable, you started looking for things, right? And correct me if I'm wrong in your story,
Mm.
because I'm talking from my perspective. And but I'm saying there is the light at the end of the tunnel. No
Yeah.
matter what road you take, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You have to find those right people, you have to listen to conversations like these, or find people who have done it, and be able to move forward. So, you know, you know, and I want to, as I said, I want to ask you now, what was during your journey, what was that, you know, the mindset battle that you played in your within your inner world, and you came out as a winner?
Yeah, so I think that's it's a beautiful thing to acknowledge that we all have these battles. Like I think a lot of people think that any successful person hasn't had fear, hasn't had doubt, hasn't had stress, hasn't had worry,
Yeah,
hasn't had that negative talk that comes. Um, so let me maybe I'll talk you through bits of my timeline and how some of these negative thoughts played out. So for example, when I was told that, you know, there's a potential of losing my job, a little part of me was like, I'm in danger, I may not have a job, I should preserve my money. But another part of me was like, I need to invest so that I don't, you know, so that I can prepare. And
yeah,
there's that conflicting battle, and I've seen this battle with a lot of people. I
yeah,
And the one thing I'd say is, like, if you invest in your, like after I lost my job, I've still continued to invest in myself, even for, like,
wow,
from my savings, etc., because, like, at the end of the day, you have to invest in yourself,
yeah,
um especially if you've got a job before you lose your job. Like, I
yeah,
wouldn't, even if you're worried about it, because it's so critical for you to, sometimes you got to take a little step back so that you can take steps forward.
mm, mm-hmm.
And there was that internal battle that was sort of like, oh, you know, what's it gonna cost me, and then I realized, like, how much more it would cost me if I didn't do anything and I didn't move forward in my life. So
Yeah,
so that was one of the battles that I had.
yeah,
Another battle was when I actually lost my job, right? When I actually lost my job, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Even though I had been preparing. This is the
yeah,
crazy thing. I'd
yeah,
been
yeah,
preparing, and I was like, I actually had these thoughts. I said, you know, I'm not a good marketer. How am I going to start my own business? I don't know how to market. I don't know how to spend, like, what if I advertise and I lose money? What if people don't like my stuff? What if?
yeah,
And I have all these thoughts. And I swear to you, like, and they were big, big, big thoughts.
yeah,
And guess what? I was like, wait a minute, Muneer, you know NLP, you teach people
yeah,
how to master their mind.
yeah,
I
yeah,
better
yeah.
master my mind. And so I was like, okay, so I sat down and I said, okay, this is what I'm saying to myself. And this is the starting point. You gotta first of all acknowledge, what are you saying to yourself.
Yeah,
Now, there's different methods of what you do when you know, like, a lot of people just say, just deny what you're saying to yourself. No, I think you gotta acknowledge what you're saying to yourself. So, I'm not a good marketer is one of the things I was saying to myself. You can add a few words, like, to that sentence. So, like, I have not been a good marketer up until now.
yeah, yeah,
So I add three words to it.
yeah, yeah,
Number one. So I've acknowledged that it may have been true, but I now I choose it not to be true.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So this is one of the things that I do. And then I teach a number of techniques to scramble the pattern, but then I chose what would I like to say instead.
Yeah.
And then I'd remind myself on a daily basis. I'd read it out loud. I'd say it with power up
Yeah.
until so basically I programmed myself
Got it.
to go from what I was like. I realized what I was saying, which was the opposite of what I wanted to be. I realized that I need to program my mind. And so I actively went on an exercise. And I'm not like, this is, for confidence, I did it years ago. For marketing, I did it months ago. I'm not, this is fairly fresh. And all of a sudden, in the last, like, now I do like weekly webinars and stuff. And I was telling this story to like 40 people showed up on a webinar. And I said, you guys are here as a result of me doing this exercise,
Mm,
right? Like for
mm,
me, actively taking the time out to say, okay, I have to change my beliefs. So the one thing I'd say to everyone is it's okay if you have limiting beliefs. It's natural. That's
yeah.
part of life.
Yeah.
We all kind of have them. It's just that, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Do you just let it sit and eat at you and
Yeah. Yeah.
prevent you from
Yeah.
moving forward in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do you tackle it head on
Right.
and decide that, okay, you know what, I'm going to change this?
Yeah, exactly. So, Munir, I think a couple of points that I really loved it because I really connect with that. The first thing that you mentioned about, how your mind plays, and, obviously with someone like yourself would have expert techniques to change and, rearrange those patterns so that you're able to, understand. But I think more importantly, because actually I got reminded about something while you was talking yesterday itself. I like writing, right? I mean, evidently I
Mm,
have written a lot of books
mm,
and I'm writing another one
mm.
as well,
Oh,
something with the
amazing.
lines of persuasion, similar to your topic, and
Excellent.
persuasion and sales and everything. But the point is, I like writing, and I was replying to an answer on Quora. A lot
Mm,
of people ask me questions on Quora, and apparently, look, there's a lot of following now, and there are a lot of views now. So I responded to one of the person on Quora, and the person was saying that, why every single time the question itself says it, right? Because when you work with people, I'm sure you experience this. When you work with a lot of people, and
mm,
when the language itself, what they're asking, what they're thinking, what they're putting it out, can you can identify, and I identified that, he is probably focusing on all the things that he doesn't want. Like you said,
mm.
people focus on what they don't want, and they get what they don't want, not that they should be focusing on that. So,
Yeah.
the question was, I've been trying this and trying this and trying this, but it's not working a number of times, right? So I
Mm,
gave him the guidance and understanding with this answer, and the person was like, the person gave me a thank you reply saying, what, it's like an awakening. So, a lot of the times, like you mentioned, this is like, the work that you do, the unconscious communication, people can't see, or
mm,
it's abstract, right? I mean, it requires a bit of awareness. It's required a bit of guidance through a coach or a mentor or someone else beyond yourself to
mm.
take you into that direction. And that's where, our work comes in. And
Yeah.
and to begin with, when you're starting your point, it's when your journey itself, if you are able to align those patterns or thought process, or whatever the language is of your mind,
Yeah.
then your journey could be a little easier. Like, I the other day I was coaching someone, an individual, and he was pretty much saying, what, oh, this is not working, that is not working, how do I do this, how do I do that? And I just said, what, every time you do something, you
Mm,
begin with something, in your mind say, everything is a test.
mm.
Everything is a test. And that, with
Yeah.
that mindset, you're not going to expect a huge result. I'm going to test it out, and once
Yeah.
you do it, you'll see a result, and you'll see some benefit of the result, and you'll start taking more action, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, this is so important, right? And
Yeah.
people are unaware of these things.
It's so funny you mentioned that. So I when I first started my journey um into changing my financial situation,
Yeah.
I actually remember it very, very, very clearly, because I was so broke at that time like I had a job, but I was so bad with my money. Like every single month, I had always more month at the end of my money than more money at the end of my month. And this one month, I had gotten to a point where I was so broken. I'd borrowed money from so many people that I was like I had no food in the fridge and I couldn't ask anybody for more money. And I was like, okay, it's 1 week until payday. And I looked in the fridge and there was no food. And I just had this box of like protein shakes. And I was like, so for 1 week, I lived on strawberry protein shake, morning, afternoon, dinner, morning, afternoon, dinner, morning, afternoon, dinner.
Wow,
And
royal life. Amazing.
people would say, you went on a cleanse. I didn't go on it voluntarily, right? Like it was, but other than being fit at that time. But what happened was at the end of that week, I just said, never again. Never. Amazing point to get to, by the way. Your lowest point can be the biggest turning point in your life. I went, never again will I ever allow this to happen. And I went and took a loan out. And I took a loan from a bank and I said, I'm going to invest all of this money. And in my mind, I wrote the whole amount off as a learning amount, as a learning cost. I said, if I make money, great. If I don't make money, it's fine. I accept that I could potentially lose all this money. I mean, I didn't borrow that much, but like I borrowed some, like I took a loan out from the bank because I said, if something's got to change. And so I went and I split the investment into like, I don't know, 4 things.
Right.
And one didn't go up, didn't go down. It was kind of stable. One, I lost money. Two, I made a lot of money. And so just by accepting that it was all going to be lost, like I just went, it's all going to be. And in fact, that's what I did when I started advertising right now. When I started advertising, I just said these last few months, I said, you know what? I accept. I'm going to spend money, and if I lose it all, it's going to be well, not lose it all, but if I invest it all in my learning, right? You spend money to go to university.
Yeah.
This is university.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Like, trust me, if you spend money and you don't get the results,
Yeah.
you're learning something.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So I think it's very important to have this distinctions in your mindset itself that allows you to grow, that allows you to do the things that will pay you off in a longer run. See,
yeah.
what I realized, while you're talking as well, I realized that while after going through a lot of these people, human beings speaking, coaching, I'm sure you all experience this as well, that when we go through certain things, like, this is my own personal experience too, right? A number of times, father was not there, did a lot of odd jobs, started questioning why this is happening to me, what is happening during the transition as well. There was ups and downs, but a lot of time we lose sight on something that is that we don't see it at that point in time. Sorry, let me reframe that. So when we are going through something, right, we are going through because we feel we are going through tough time,
Yeah.
because that is not the normal for us, right? And when we are going through that, we are actually developing a lot of things which we lose sight of or don't focus on during that time. If I don't have, like you said, strawberry shake, people would say, wow, you got the benefits, and you realize later that yes, I did got the benefit, but I didn't do it intentionally. That was not normal for me. What normal for me was having 3 times meal, right? But you did had benefits. Let's be honest, right? You would have had benefits. You would have been a little shredded or whatever, right? But obviously not good with your mind when you have these issues and challenges. But if we streamline these thoughts in a certain way that is workable for our future, and we keep our eyes on the future, like do and believe that which helps you move forward, right? So I think a lot of us, like people listening out there as well, they may have lost sight of, what, times are tough, sitting down and in their house with their family and thinking, for us, how do I figure it out? What do I do? Or maybe even going out and trying and attempting. But the thought is that, what, how will I work? What will happen? How can I change? I don't have my job now. I don't have this. I don't have that. So with that thought process, you are not even present.
Mm.
Like I
Yeah.
mentioned to you, I love to have conversations with you. I've not prepared questions, and that's why I'm
Mhm.
present, and we are able to derive this value for a lot of listeners out there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always not, I would not say always, I'm still a coach, I'm still work in progress, I'm really moving forward with in this work. But at the same time, even I sometimes lose sight when I have maybe a tough client or a tough situation. Then I have to remind myself, and after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hey, listen, Irfan, you're dealing with a tough client, you're developing maybe a new skill to deal with that, or new idea to deal with your client. So
Mm.
I always try to remember, for yourself, or find a mechanism that works for you. What would be a mechanism, for you, Muneer, to remind yourself as to, I'm doing this for a bigger reason. I am doing this for the betterment of my family. And I'm sure you would have had this vision.
Yeah.
I'm investing in myself. I'm investing, and you rightly so had this mindset that in long run, it's gonna pay off, and it's paid off, and it's
Yeah.
still paying off, and it'll pay off bigger returns in compounded fashion, I believe.
Yeah. The first part, it's funny, when I first lost my job, I did have, like I said, I had all these doubts, these concerns, these worries. But when I first lost it, I allowed myself maybe 2 days, because I mean it's a big shock, right? Like, let's say when you have a big shock, you
Yeah,
gotta allow it to process. And I
yeah,
did, allowed it to process for a couple of days. But then it's like a friend said to me, listen, you have a family,
yeah,
you have kids, you don't have time to sit and worry about it.
yeah,
Like, get like make it happen.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I you know in life, you can have results or you can have excuses, but you can't have both.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, you know, I've, uh, I've, I can blame others as much as I want to, but that's not going to change my situation.
yeah.
So the first part is having a clear direction of where you want to be,
Excellent.
right?
Yeah,
So here's a great formula for everyone to use, if you want
yes,
to change your situation into something amazing. And I'm going to use the example that many of you will know, and it is of it's basically $1 billion company that has made this process very famous. And in fact, the process very, very, very well. It's to go to new places. What do you need to do? And I'm talking about Google Maps. First of all, you got to
yeah,
figure out where you are right now.
yeah,
Like, if you open up Google Maps, it's like, share your location. So figure out, where are you right now?
yeah,
What are the worries that you have? What are the concerns that you have?
yeah.
And then what's the next step?
Mm,
Figure out where you want to go.
mm,
See, a lot of people, and I've been there, by the way. We sit there and we say, okay, uh, I don't want to do this. I don't want this. I don't want this. And I think you brought it up earlier. The challenge with saying I don't want is if I told you I don't want chicken, what is not chicken? Everything else
not
in the
chicken.
whole world is not chicken.
Yeah,
A bicycle is not chicken,
yeah,
right? Like, and so if you tell your mind, I don't want this, your mind doesn't know what you want, right? Just like if you tell somebody, I don't
yeah,
want rice, you could want anything else in the whole world.
yeah.
And
Like,
so the opportunities are too many, so your mind has nothing to hold on to.
yeah,
Figure out, and as the clarity man would say, get clear on
exactly.
what it is that you want. Have extreme clarity, because
Yeah,
there's power in having extreme clarity.
yes,
So
yes.
know where you are, know where you want to be, and then your mind will help you figure out a whole bunch of ways to get there.
Yeah, it's amazing. You spoke exactly the same language that I would speak about to my people. When I remember when I used to, before COVID, there used to be seminars, I used to do my work, and a lot of people used to come in and they say, I used to engage as a speaker as well, and I used to ask, I need better relation. I want to have a better health. Like, what do you
Mm,
mean? What do you mean better health, better relation, right? So clarity. A lot of people
mm,
don't know exactly what it is that they are working towards, and that one thing itself, like you rightly said, it could be like a revelation for a lot of people if they think
yeah.
about it, if they put effort, and if they put the context to it, and define what it is. With help, without help, doesn't matter, but it's important to
Mm,
define that aspect so that they know where they are heading. And
yeah.
then from that point onwards, what needs to be done. And then there are a lot of one of the things that I also want to highlight, that a lot of the times, when I come across people, they really want to do something, and they're talking a big game. I want to do this, I want to do that, but they said, what, I'll do it after some point. I'll
Mm.
do it later on, because you see, I don't have a job right now. I'm trying in the middle of doing something, or I don't have the time. So how do you look at that aspect, and what message would you give to those people? Because I know, if I'm doing a one-on-one conversation, I would tell them exactly what needs to happen. I'm going to craft a plan for them, and I'm going to tell them it's possible. But did you ever thought of this thing, that, what, oh, I need to do something later on, or something like that? Or what would you say to these people? Because you see, there are a lot of people who sit on it,
Mm.
and they
Yeah.
don't take action, because it is, like you said, either you have excuses or results. So can you elaborate? What would you say that they can apply? Maybe some smaller things that they can do, or something that can build them up, and help them realize that they should
Yeah.
be doing it.
So here's the reality is, everyone has the same amount of time in a day. We all have exactly the same amount of time. And for everybody, what we like to do is, we don't like to be bored, so we fill that time. Okay, everyone will fill that time. So nobody has time, because we all fill it with these random things. What the reality is if you want something, you've got to make it more important than the things that you're filling your time with.
Yeah.
And the things that you're filling your time with, you got to find other ways to do it, whether you delegate, whether you automate, whether you eliminate. And these are it's quite critical, because um, you have to get clear on why this is so important to you. And what a lot of people will do is, they'll spend, for example, a lot of people will spend more time on their entertainment than the on their entertainment budget than their education budget, or in terms of time and money. And you've got to understand that you have to have a bit of a balance. I'm not saying, I mean, I like my Netflix as much as the other person. However, I will never compromise on my education or my moving forward.
Got it.
Um, Now, you will always find time for the things that are very important to you. So you just got to make it very important, and you got to plan accordingly. Like, plan your time. Eh, If if it's not if you're not doing something that you should be doing, the only reason you're not doing it is because it's not a big enough priority. You're not motivated enough to do it.
Yeah.
Because if it was important enough, you would find the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been there. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be preaching, because I know I've recognized, and I still. By the way, are there things that I want to get done that I don't get done? 100%. But I also realize why I'm not getting it done is because,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I do prioritize my entertainment, or I do
Yeah.
prioritize something else. But it's, you want to get aware of where your priorities lie. But the things that are the most important, I've pushed them up, or the things that I really need in order to move me forward, I've pushed up their importance.
Right. Right. So, beyond this, managing their day and managing their time, like, if someone is sitting there trying to start something of their own, but he has a lot of unclear thoughts to begin with, obviously, which we discussed about. Apart from that, he has this maybe a fear, maybe what if this is not going to work? How will it work? And oh, the time is not right. Uh, my job will suffer. What smaller things that they can do to start building like their own business, like yourself, like myself? What do you think they can do, and action steps to
All right.
systematically build it?
So I'll tell you this in the form of one thing that I did when I right now, you might know, Irfan, I have done 210 live
Yes.
consecutive daily videos in a row. In a row.
Superb.
And before
Awesome.
that, I did not like doing live videos. Like, I mean, I was okay with edited videos. I was okay because then I'd be like, I went for too long, or I let me cut that out, or I don't
It,
look good in that. Oh my God,
it's
look, I look
perfect.
fat over here. Like like all these things. And
Yeah.
I was like I was not, I mean, yeah, like I was scared of doing live videos, but
Man, if you are scared of doing live videos, what the hell others will do?
but I also realized that
Yeah.
it's a thing. So what I did was I promised myself that I would expand um my comfort zone every single day. So I have this philosophy or this habit where I do something called one more thing. Just daily, I would push my comfort zone just a little bit,
Excellent.
just a little bit. I wouldn't go crazy, but I push my comfort zone just a little bit. Like I do something that I hadn't done before. And every day. So and this is how I started. I had a live group that had about 4 people in it, and I went live on there. Uh, and this
That
group
is
wasn't
amazing.
active. It was like a group that had been there for ages. Uh, so I'd go live over there, and then I deleted it like straight away before anyone saw it. And then I'd go the next day, but every single day, like every single day I just do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, even when it comes to advertising. Because look, fear exists, it's fine. Courage is not moving in the is not the absence of fear, it's the ability to move despite of fear. And i I have been afraid. I like when I started marketing, I was afraid. I'm like, what will people say about my product? You know what? Let me just try and get it out there. Let me share it with one person today. Let me
Mm.
ask what my best friend thinks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let me, and then just slowly, surely, just
Yeah.
expand, expand, expand,
Yeah.
expand.
Yeah.
And what happens is, I want you to consider this. If you only improve 1% a day, 100 days from now, you're not 100% better. You're more than that
Yeah.
because it's compounded. And
Yes.
so that
True.
is something that I try
Focus
and
on.
emulate and try and live by.
Yeah, that is fantastic idea, and I love that. I'd also read some psychological study which says that I think it's like a 4 or 5% rule where you get yourself every single day, you get yourself uncomfortable to the tune of 4 or 5%, and
Mm,
you would expand yourself because you are doing something which is uncomfortable, but you're not overly doing yourself, and you're building yourself. And
mm,
I think it's I'm sure you relate to this, like in the work that we do, right? There is a known evidence of your mind and body being connected. So even if you do something physically connected to getting yourself out there, putting yourself out there, doing something extra,
mm,
if you're talking about physical work, or if you're talking about you're building your business, if you're talking about bringing about change in a certain habit pattern or a work pattern that you have, right? Getting up early in the morning, the times of people struggle getting up early in the morning, and I'm also guilty of that.
mm,
So we all are humans, guys. So I want you to understand, everyone who's listening out there, with the insights and guidance that Muneer has been giving, and the conversation that we're having is basically, wherever you are, it doesn't matter where you are, right? Wherever you are, you can change that aspect. Sorry, I wanted to mention that it doesn't matter where you come from, because this is one of the realization, Muni, that I had very early in my life, right? Like I think or if you remember or not, because I used to work in this 5-star property in Mumbai, Gateway of India, called Taj Hotel. That was my first job in a good environment. uh, Before that, I've done a lot of things. I've sold stuff on the roadside. I've worked in shops, small shops, everything, right? So that was a better environment for me. In that environment, this realization came in, because in that environment I saw a lot of successful people, Munir, like, very highly successful people, who's who, and sports player, and politician. And when I saw them and I heard about them from people, like, oh, this guy is this. And I asked them also, and they told me that, they come from a certain background, they have a certain story. That actually, that point, I got the realization that, what, it doesn't matter where you come from, because they also have a story. They also come from a space of the challenges or issues. They also had weight issues or health issues or this issue or that issue, or they didn't have the parents, or they didn't have this or didn't have this, but they made it. There has to be a formula, there has to be a model, there has to be a road which is already built, right? And that's what gave me that, a little bit of push, or a curiosity, more curiosity to explore, I would say, because it was very early in my life. And that built upon, and I've applied this formula time and again, and that's why I've reached here, right? And this is very important, that I want to give every one of you listening out there, because I know the times are tough. We all are facing it. We all have, wherever we are, however successful we are, we have certain degree of impact. Let's be honest, right? Certain degree of impact. Maybe your servant is not coming home and you have to do the washing, or maybe you have lost a job. It doesn't matter. You have everyone has an impact, but it doesn't matter. It matters what you're doing about it. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to figure it out? Who are you going to listen to and find some wisdom and guidance? And what are you going to do? And what actions you're going to take with the formula that Muneer just gave you gracefully, right? That you need to apply certain things. You need to apply and start taking consistent action. And well done, Muneer. I was really inspired. And one of the reasons why I want to call you here is because I'm really inspired by what you have done, right? Because you've been consistency, right? So sorry, Muneer, it's my bad, because I keep going on rant every now and again when I have a thought or idea.
I love it.
But
I love it. That's the way forward. Yeah.
yeah. So Muneer, thank you so much. One message that you really feel that the world needs to hear from you today, and the people out there, the audience in mind, what would you say? It doesn't have to be one liner. You can go on about it, and let me know, like, what can they take away from this? And yes, and where can they find you? Where can they find you? I know where they can find you, but you can give the social media handles and your work, and it'll be really amazing for them to come and reach out to you and maybe seek more guidance also.
Yeah. Okay. So, maybe I'll start and I'll end with this. If you want more, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Muneer. As I was saying, I go live every single day. I would love to share a number of different things with you. And this is, like, I share with you my journey in real time. In fact, it's funny, one of the day that I actually, I was talking about earlier, the days that there was one day where I wrote down all my limiting beliefs about marketing, about money, about myself, and ability to do business. I did a live video that day, the next day, talking about what I did the day before. So, which is very, very, very valuable.
Yeah,
for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so,
I think what I can do, Muneer, sorry, I'm interrupting, but what I can do is maybe I can take that link from you and I can put it in the notes on this podcast, so people can go in easily, and then they can learn from it and they can apply it.
Yeah, please, yeah. And so I suppose my final thoughts are, wherever you are right now, however you're feeling, however, whatever challenges that you're going through, everything can be temporary. You can create an overall experience of what you want by just placing focus on it, because where focus goes, where attention goes, energy flows. And we want to get clear on what it is that you want. and you can start to create it. Now, in the future, not everything is going to be 100% rosy, but you'll have a majority. Like the summarized version can be a lot different to where it is right now. So
100%.
wherever you are right now, if you're feeling fear or stress or anxious or worried or afraid of what you can potentially do, my suggestion is whatever, like, yeah, my final thought is move. It doesn't matter how far you move. You don't have to go turn your life around 180 degrees in one day. That's never going to happen. But your life will be a result of your habits. Like, success is not an event, it's a result of habits. So the one habit that I would suggest is take a step every single day in the direction of your dreams, of your goals. It doesn't matter how big the step is, it doesn't matter, but just take a step every single day in the direction of your dreams, your goals, your desires. And if you keep stepping, I mean, logic says that eventually you'll get there,
True.
or you
True.
at least every day you're getting closer. So
100%.
that's
100%.
it from my side. Like I said, youtube.com/Muneer. I would love to contribute to you with more mindset, more unconscious communication, and more mind mastery, how to master your mind. So
Superb.
that's
Superb. Thank you so much, Muneer. And I just want to highlight one last thing from my end, guys. Everyone who's listening out there, we are in this industry because this industry is growing right now, and people are required of people need people. Basically, people need people to go out there and help people. So listen to these conversations. I'm going to keep putting more conversation, and my job or my mission is to help people realize their own possibility. A lot of people are blind to their own possibilities. So as a Clarity Man, or the Clarity podcast that I've started, I want people to remove their possibility blindness and start taking steps towards whatever the direction is, wherever they are trying to go, right? So all the very best, guys. Thank you so much, Muneer, for coming and enlightening everyone. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see
Thank
you next
you. Thank
time.
you,
Thank you.
everyone.